Florida homeowners, it's not a question of if, but when the next hurricane will come. No matter what Florida weather has in store, StormSmart has products that protect every opening of your home while improving the look, feel, and function. From durable aluminum shutters, high-impact windows and doors, to our innovative storm catcher screens, products that enhance the beauty of your home and keep your family safe. Because smart is complete hurricane protection, and smart is peace of mind. Call StormSmart today for your free in-home consultation.
When your power goes out, remember just how inconvenient your life can be. No lights, no refrigeration, no heating or cooling, no electronics. But with the Generac Home Standby Generator, you'll have power when you need it. Our Generac generators automatically provide backup power after sensing a power outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Get a free 10-year warranty with the purchase of any air-cooled generator. Call Generac Generators today. Generac Generators. Life is primitive without power.
Streaming from the Tampa Bay 28 Weather Center in Studio A, this is Dennis Phillips Live. Brought to you by StormSmart. Protect every opening of your home. And Generac Generators. Life is primitive without power.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome to a Tuesday night edition of Dennis Phillips Live. You know, we've been doing this live streaming stuff way longer than there have been Facebook Lives and a lot of this stuff. It started with just a bunch of us that kind of got together, weather geeks, if you will, and talked a little bit about everything. A lot of times it was about the tropics, but sometimes it was just about anything and everything, and it kind of turned into a thing. But the meat and potato, the bread and butter was always the tropics, and we now have, for the first time all year long, we have got a tropical storm in the Caribbean. And I'll tell you, I mentioned this earlier today on Facebook. I certainly didn't have it on my bingo card that there would be no hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico this year. And the season is not over. But once we get through Melissa, which we will over the next 7 to 10 days, then potentially we've got a strong front that's going to come all the way down. And I'm going to show you that coming up in a few minutes as well. More often than not, when you see that kind of a front come through and really cool things off, it kind of shuts the door on the season. That's not to say you can't see something in the deep Caribbean develop and kind of move north and accelerate. But, I mean, I'll just tell you right off the bat, we'll kind of jump right into this particular graphic, because this is the one that I just posted, and it kind of sums it up. That's from the Climate Prediction Center. And the Climate Prediction Center for next week and the following week. Now, remember, hurricane season runs till the end of November, but no development is expected. And by the way, I get a lot of folks say, what is a tropical cyclone? You guys are just trying to scare people. Why don't you call it what it is? Well, all hurricanes, all tropical storms, all tropical depressions are known as tropical cyclones. It's weather talk. It's nothing fancy. It's just weather talk. And that is what they are called. So it is not intended to scare anyone. It is just the way meteorologists talk about it. I need a Diet Dr. Pepper. I was up early this morning. So, and by the way, so Paul and Wendy, we were doing a story today about coffee drinking and coffee drinking habits. I wasn't paying attention to the story, truthfully. I was standing over there and my mind was elsewhere. But I did kind of hear the story about coffee. I don't remember what it was, but they were talking about how much coffee they had drank and how much they drink on a daily basis. And I'm like, guys, I've never had a cup of coffee. I've never actually had a real cup of coffee. I mean, I've had like a vanilla frappuccino maybe from Starbucks once or twice, and my daughter would get one. It's never been my thing. It's always been Diet Dr. Pepper. That is what I've grown. I was weaned off of milk with Diet Dr. Pepper, and it has stuck with me. So see, now I don't like the zero, Jermaine, because I think the zeros have an aftertaste. This is just me. So all the zeros, right, they taste more like the real thing which I don't want to use the old Coke adage, the real thing, but they taste more like the original. But to me, they have a big, at first, but then to me, they have a bigger aftertaste at the end of the taste, right? Whereas with diet stuff like Diet Coke and Diet Dr. Pepper, for me, the taste is different, but to me, it's pure and it just doesn't linger. That's just me. All right, so who do we have here, first of all? So we got lots to talk. Yeah, Mary's like, what? Kat's like, you've never had coffee before? I haven't. I love the smell of coffee. I remember I used to, back in the day, there was a grocery store up north that was called A&P, and they would have coffee machines there where you could pick out the coffee beans and pour it in the machine, and it grinds it up. It smelled great, but I just never, I don't know, for some reason, I just never drank it. So who do we have here? We've got lots of folks in as always. We like to do a quick check-in. This is an interactive show. If you're watching on TV, it's less interactive for you, and maybe that's the way you prefer it. I don't blame you. But my suggestion, especially when there's stuff going on, is you've got the TV up, whether you're watching on cable, whether you're watching on OTA, whether you're watching on DirecTV Stream or DirecTV or whatever you're watching it on. You can watch on TV, but you can follow along in the comments over here because honestly, the comments quite often are very entertaining. Very entertaining. And usually they're completely different from what we're talking about on here. But tonight we are going to talk tropics and we're going to talk cold fronts. But Denise, how you doing? Now, Denise is a Mountain Dew Zero person. I do, Mountain Dew was a thing. I don't know about y'all, but when I was in college, that was the thing. Everybody drank Mountain Dew because it had more caffeine than anything else. That's what they said. Rick and Monica in Venice, how you doing? Good to see you. We've got Mary in Hudson. We have got another Mary. We've got Home Assassins in the house. We've got a lot of people. Randall wrote hype, 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 but then JK LOL, because Randall knew if I see hype, 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 and I take, you can tell, you can just see my face. There's just something of, can't help myself. It's very addictive. All right, so we got lots of folks in here. We got lots and lots of tropical stuff to talk about it. So let's just go ahead and do that. We've got Nikki in Orlando's in the house. We've got people watching from all over the world. And that's the other thing about this. I just love the platform because it really gives us a chance to talk with folks from all over and to hear their take on things. But let's jump in, at least short term, and talk about what's happening right now with our local weather and the tropics. And then we will get into the forecast, the models, the spaghetti models, and everything else, all right? We're looking good outside. We've got temperatures right now mostly in the 70s in our area, low 80s Tampa, 79 Bartow, 86 Lakeland. It hit the lower 90s today. Riverview was 93 for a period of time. 84 the high today in St. Pete, 84 the high in Clearwater, 91 in Plant City, 90 in Lakeland. Outside right now, skies are partly cloudy. 82, the dew points are back in the low 70s. Kathy and Tarpon, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, it's, someone says, fear the ban button, tread lightly. Yeah, the dew points are back up a little bit. We got another front coming in tomorrow. It won't bring us rain, but it should give us a little bit more of the drier air to come on in. Great view there at Ray J. 87 the high today, 2 degrees above average. Maria, sad bride here. Might have to cancel your wedding in Jamaica. Maria, when is the wedding? Is it this weekend? If it is, we'll show you that in a minute. But if it is, it might very well be the right thing to do. There's your satellite picture. All's quiet. Futurecast shows the same thing. Vieira in Florida, how you doing, Kate? Good to see you. Meteor viewing, yep, it will be fine. St. Augustine wedding looks good, Caitlin. There is a front that's going to come through, though, and we'll talk about that front coming up in just a minute. Susan loves her morning coffee in Hudson. Good to see you, Susan. So, all right. Yeah, I hear you, Joel. AWS did not take the ban button offline yesterday. I did hear that. Okay, so here we go. Let us look at the forecast for tomorrow morning. Mostly in the 60s, some mid to upper 50s northern counties. Valentina, Fort Pierce is in the house right now. And there's a look at the rain, or lack thereof. I think we have very little chance of any rain. Carol in Delaware, how you doing? Love going up to Fenwick Island. Used to be a yearly thing for our family. Bahamas cruise. We're going to talk about that coming up in the next segment, Taylor. So there is the cold front. Look at the drop next Thursday and Friday. We will look at the models coming up on that. I will answer all specific questions on cruises, vacations, and anything else coming up over the next few segments. Wow, Jennifer's going to Japan soon. Nope, you had nothing to worry about. You are good. All right. Look at this track, because this track is going to look somewhat familiar when we look at the overall shape of Melissa with winds of 50 miles an hour. This is being sheared. Look at where the center is. That's where the icon's spinning. Look at where all the convection is, east of that center. So there's a lot of shear going on. Over the next 5 days, Melissa is not going to move a lot, all right? It is going to slowly drift off to the north. Now, we still have two sets of models. The GFS gets it stronger a little faster, brings it across the islands by this weekend. The Euro, the Google, DeepMind, and other models are bringing it more to the west, closer to Jamaica, and as a hurricane, and having it linger for 5 days. Very warm water, lower shear, means a much stronger storm potentially. And hanging out there for 5 days, I think the way this plays out is a massive rain event for eastern Cuba, for the Dominican, and even Puerto Rico. And the center of this will be nowhere near Puerto Rico, but they've already been getting rain out of it today because of the way that it's elongating and expanding off to the east. So we'll take a look at the ensembles, we'll look at the spaghetti models, and we'll talk more about it, including answering your questions in 90 seconds on TV as DPL continues. Okay, first break. So thank you very much, Marcy. Appreciate it. All you guys are talking about is coffee. and that right there is a show. Because I'll throw something out, and then all of a sudden it takes on a life of its own. Peggy, how you doing? Debbie, good to see you. So Jenny's asking if it's going to be cold the 1st or the 8th. You know, we will have to see. I am not 100% sold on that cold air making it all the way down. The Euro, and you all know this, the Euro has a bias for being cold. It has a cold bias, so it's usually way too aggressive in predicting how cold it'll get down the road. I'm calling up the spaghetti models invest to show. Calling up right there. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so there's a look at the invest. All right, so we are back, and we still got 20 seconds. Carolwood, Bob, how you doing? Good to see you. So yeah, so this segment will be tropics. Next segment will be cold. All right, and the two kind of go hand in hand with that front. All right, we are back in 5 seconds on TV. In 3, 2. Welcome back to Dennis Phillips Live on this Tuesday evening. So there's a look at the forecast track, right? Now, if you look at the spaghetti models, they're kind of all over the place, but not really. Because regardless of where development occurs, eventually, zoop, it's going to take a northeast turn, whether that's over eastern Cuba, whether that's over the Dominican. Let's look at that, all right? And I will answer questions in the heat lightning round at the end. I will answer all your questions and all your specifics on your individual trips, but I like to give it just an overview first. And Scott, right on cue, I gave you that zoop. All right, so here's the latest look at the 18Z spaghetti model runs. The majority are clustered right here, right? But they all curve. Now, the Canadian is farther west, but they all, zoop, eventually curve. And why would that be? Because we have fronts coming down. And out ahead of a front, you are going to get a southwest flow, and that is going to encourage or demand, I would argue, everything to curve to the northeast. Now, you look at the UK Met. It's one model that just kind of goes off on its own to the west, probably because it's such a weak system that it actually gets an opportunity to kind of bypass the steering winds across the northern Caribbean. This might be far enough south to miss it. And some of the models were hinting at that. But overall, the overwhelming majority of the models bring it just like this, okay? Now, what is it? All right, let's look at let's look at the ensembles first. Here's the Euro AI ensembles. Remember, the ensembles are 51 some odd runs of the same model, tweaking some of the specifics to kind of give you a nice broad brush view over what's going to happen. Well, that is from the Dominican to Western Cuba. There's your range. Notice how many get into the Gulf. Bupkis, 0 get into the Gulf right now. But I will tell you, some of these are a little more to the west than they were yesterday. I'm not going to ignore that. We are continuing to watch it. And with the Euro. All right, so the computer. So with the Euro. All right, so the computer. So I was talking to our engineering staff. And last I heard, they're saying, well, maybe Windows is doing an update, or maybe the RAM in the computer is a little slow. Now, if you're watching on TV, all's good. But if you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on streaming or whatever, YouTube, we're seeing freezing, and now we're good again. I can't tell you why. All I know is the new computer should be here soon. But on TV, we're still good. So I'm going to continue, which is why you should be watching on TV and following on Facebook at the same time. See? You get the best of both worlds. Let's go back and see if it freezes again. It's got to get fixed. This has got to get fixed. All right, so I see we are back on Facebook. Yeah, sorry, guys. You missed everything. I actually gave the winning lotto numbers. I gave you the winning lotto numbers for tonight. Yeah, Cassie, I'm with you. Windows has been updating almost every day this week. I know. Yeah, but I hear they're going to be fixing it at some point. All right, anyway, there's the Euro AI and the Euro, and even the GFS kind of shows the same thing. Here's the Google DeepMind. Now, this is a little more centrally located like the GFS, but the bottom line is the Dominican is going to get a ton of rain out of this, and that starts later this week into this weekend. All right? Let's go back and look at the operational runs. All right? This is Wednesday. This is Thursday. This is the GFS, right? Friday. And the GFS crosses the Dominican on Friday afternoon as a tropical storm or maybe even a minimal hurricane, and then brings it out to sea. See that? So it is in and out quickly and away from Jamaica and away from Eastern Cuba. That's the GFS. But the Euro takes it, and it just meanders. There's Friday, there's Saturday, there's Sunday, there's Monday, and that's a 941 millibar. That's a Cat 4 hurricane right there. The Euro has this as a Cat 4 hurricane near Jamaica on Monday. And if the Euro is right, this is a devastating hurricane from Jamaica right between Eastern Cuba and Haiti, the Dominican, right in there. That is the Euro. That is the latest Euro. So I'll tell you, folks, if the Euro is right, this is really bad news for Jamaica, Eastern Cuba, and the Dominican. GFS brings it in quicker, not nearly as strong because it's in and out fast, and it goes away. And then we look at, again, one more time with the Euro, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It doesn't really get over there until early next week. So, and I'm not, look, I'm going to be honest, and I got to hit a break here, but The reality of it is there are certainly opportunities and windows in Punta Cana, in the Dominican, in areas that you will be okay this weekend and not have major impacts. But I would not bet on that. If the GFS is right, you get a strong tropical storm or hurricane very near you on Friday or Saturday. If the Euro is right, you get pretty squally, nasty weather over the weekend, maybe not terrible, but then a Cat 3 hurricane Monday or Tuesday. So you wonder at what point will they start to shut down earlier anyway. Got to hit a break. I'll be back in 90 seconds. So we're on the break. Yeah, guys, I don't know. I have no idea why this thing starts to freeze like it does. I talked to our IT guy yesterday, and he said the new computer's in, and he said he would have it on the bench and get it up and running shortly. Let's hope so, because I'd say we lost at least 3 minutes of the program when this was blinking red. And again, I don't understand why. No idea why, because I'm not doing anything differently than I ever do. I always reboot the computer, but for some reason, there's just sometimes it freezes. I don't know why. But hopefully, we can get it fixed soon. So John just asked about the 18Z Euro. All right, let's call it up. Let's call up the 18Z Euro. Just to see. I don't like 18Z runs particularly very much. They're not as accurate. But you know what? I'll call up Caribbean, by the way. It's just maybe better. Caribbean. All right, let's look at the Caribbean. Okay, so here's the 18Z. Welcome back to Dennis Phillips Live. I am really heavy on the brakes, and we're showing the 18Z European run here. We wanted to get the latest one just to see. One of the followers on Facebook had asked, hey, how does 18Z look? All right, here's Thursday afternoon, Thursday night. Now look at this. No, that's the GFS. I was going to say, wait a minute. Look at that. No, that is the GFS. Because the GFS, and I'll show you the GFS, GFS 18Z does the exact same thing. Brings it across the Dominican on Friday into Saturday, and then moves it out to sea. But that's a hurricane or at least a strong tropical storm. All right, here's the Euro. And the Euro, that Saturday, that Sunday, just kind of sits there. So the Euro really hasn't changed much. It's right between Jamaica and Haiti. GFS, look at the time, look at the difference. GFS, Euro. GFS, Euro. Completely different setups, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. We have to hit one more break. We'll answer final questions. I'm gonna continue for about 5 or 10 minutes on social to answer your questions. But here's the bottom line. I do wanna quickly talk about our potential cool down next week because I teased that. So let's go ahead and show you that real quick. Here is a look at the European, which we know the Euro does have a cold bias, but here is the Euro on the night after Halloween. Look at those low temperatures, 40s. Again, the Euro has a cold bias, but look at that long-range Euro. That is Saturday morning, a week from this Saturday. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think that's the way it's going to play out. But the Euro is all in on cold. And this is Halloween morning, 40s. Why is it showing it? I'll show you why. Here's a look at the Euro. And the Euro is developing a rather strong low. This is next Monday. This is next Tuesday. The GFS and the Euro are very similar with this storm in the Midwest. But the Euro brings it all the way down to Georgia. Look at that. With that low traveling that far south, it is really helping the cold air come all the way down. The GFS is not nearly as aggressive with the cold air. Look at where that storm is. It's up in the Great Lakes. So not nearly as cold for us. So that's what it's going to boil down to for next week. However far south that low digs, it will be colder. The Euro's digging it into Georgia. That seems a little extreme. The GFS is taking it in the UP of Michigan. That might be the other side of the coin. So a blend of the two brings that low, maybe Illinois, Indiana. And if that's the case, we still see 40s and 50s the end of next week in time for Halloween. One last break, and we'll be back with our last segment of Dennis Phillips Live. I think I had one more break, right? Didn't I? I think I did, pretty sure. Let's see if there's an 8 o'clock update. Yeah, it just asked for an 8 o'clock. John asked for an 8 o'clock update. Usually they don't offer updates when there are no warnings issued. No, just a 5 o'clock still at this point. No, I take that back. There's an 8 o'clock. Here we go. Less data. Chelsea, less data goes into the 18Z runs. Okay, so there is a look at intermediate advisory, still winds of 50 miles an hour. The tracks are updated every 6 hours, so an intermediate advisory will not give you any kind of track update. Hurricane watch is in effect for Haiti to the Dominican to Port-au-Prince. Tropical storm watch for Jamaica. Now, this is more in tune as if the GFS is right and it's a faster system. If it's a slower system, it probably would have less of an impact in those islands early on, but overall, more of an impact by the end of the weekend into early next week. And we are back in our final segment of Dennis Phillips Live. Again, it's tricky because we had our computer issues and we've got our 3 breaks. So I am going to continue on social and I'll just start answering your questions. But we did just get the 8 o'clock advisory in from the Hurricane Center. Tracks are updated every 6 hours. So you will not get a new track until 11 o'clock. It's 11:05, 11 p.m., 11 a.m., 5 p.m., 5 a.m. There is a hurricane watch in effect for southwestern peninsula of Haiti from the border of the Dominican to Port-au-Prince, and a tropical storm watch for Jamaica. Now, this is because they're taking into consideration the GFS may be accurate. The Euro is slower with hurricane conditions and tropical storm conditions. So, if the Euro is right, and you get a track more to the west and a slower track, they will not see those conditions this soon, but they would get them later this week, the weekend, and into early next week. All right? So if you're watching on TV, I'm going to continue on Facebook, on social, on YouTube for a few more minutes. I'm actually meeting my son for dinner, which is fun. And we'll be updating, you know me, I'll be updating 24/7, as will the rest of the team. In fact, I just made a video for TikTok and Facebook that I'll post as well. So hopefully we'll get these computers up and running solid so we'll have the speed to handle us on all our platforms as we get to the end of the hurricane season. You have a great night. We'll see you on tomorrow night's edition of Dennis Phillips Live. Okay, so we are no longer on TV. So now we are on streaming. So I am here to answer your questions now. Now I'm going to do pure, well, here, let me finish showing you all the maps. Yeah, the rainy season is over. It would be Shea, Anna Maria. All right, so we have that map. We already showed you that. We showed you the tracks. You know the tracks. We talked about the cold air. That's exciting. GFS we showed you. Euro we showed you. Again, the GFS brings that low right there. Wednesday, it's in Wisconsin. Look at where the Euro has it Wednesday. Kentucky. See the difference? Kentucky for the Euro, Wisconsin for the GFS. There's your difference. With a farther south track with the Euro, the cold air will be much farther south. And then there's your hurricane, by the way, in the eastern Bahamas. GFS has a much weaker front and not nearly as cold. And that's simply what it's going to be. All right, I will answer questions for a few minutes, and then I'm going to go grab dinner. Okay, what's the upcoming Saturday looking like weather-wise? It's going to be beautiful, Crystal. I would look for highs in the middle 80s. Morning lows in the mid-60s. If you're in St. Pete, it'll be closer to 70 degrees in the morning. Okay. Oops, did I just get a call from Ryan? Stand by. I did. Oh, stand by. Wait a minute. Ryan's calling. Hello, my beautiful daughter, Ryan. You are on Dennis Phillips Live. Did you know that I was on DPL when you called?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Did you have something to tell all of your aunts and uncles and friends out there?
No.
No? You were just calling
No.
to, you were just calling to say hi?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right. How was dance class?
It was good.
Yeah? It was good? Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, is this the conversation that you have with your kid? How was school today? It was fine. What'd you do today? Nothing. How was dance class? It was good. Is this the conversation that you guys have? Because it's always, I got 6 kids, and every one of them, it's been the same way. I don't know why. It just is. Do you have anything interesting and noteworthy to tell people?
I'm learning piano.
You're learning piano. So is that,
Paul over here.
that's what I bought that book on Amazon. Magically, in Ryan's world, things go into the Amazon cart, and they magically show up at her door like the next day. It's the craziest thing. Like she'll just click on something on the Amazon cart, and then magically it appears. How does that work?
It's Ryan's world.
It's Ryan's world. Oh, okay. All right, Ryan's world. Well, I got to get going. I got weather to talk about. I'm having dinner with Shay.
Okay.
All right, I love you, sweetie.
Love you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
It's Ryan's world. What have I done? Anyway, okay, so any more questions? I will look at your questions for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to go meet my son for dinner. Freaking out over your cruise. Okay, Dawn, where and when is your cruise? Because I wasn't able to see as questions go through. So go ahead and tell me specifics. Flying into the Turks and Caicos Sunday. Are you in the path of the storm? Probably not. It'll probably be west of you. Okay. How you doing, Terry? The percent of the storm that comes to Tampa, the percent is the 1%. It's not 0, but it's 1%. Okay? Cruise Sunday, 1026 out of Lauderdale to the Bahamas, then Cozumel and Costa Maya. This Sunday, Bahamas. You're gonna get waves either way. You might be. I'll tell you, it might be pretty rough. I think they would take a track. They might not do Bahamas. They might bypass Bahamas and go west instead. I wouldn't think it would be canceled, though, as long as it's remotely close to the forecast in eastern Cuba. So I think you'd be okay. Gina, I think if the models are right, it's going to be pleasantly cool for Halloween. And that 10 days out, it's really hard to say that. And my gut tells me it's not going to happen because it usually backs off. But right now, again, the euro is digging that low farther south. If it's more north, it'll be pleasant, but it won't be cool. Fort Lauderdale, Monday, and Bahamas, Wednesday. Bahamas, Wednesday. Okay. I think tomorrow we're going to have the answer for all of these questions. Let me tell you why. Because if this storm is to accelerate northeast and it's going to be out of here by Friday, we'll know tomorrow. If by tomorrow it is still west and south and slow, then that won't really impact those areas until this weekend and early next week. So I guess the answer to your question is I can't answer that question until we get some, again, and I'll show you. I mean, this is why our two models are so completely different on this. Here is the GFS. This is Thursday, Friday. Look at Friday. It's already past the islands on Friday morning. And then gone close to Puerto Rico, but gone by Sunday. Look at the euro. Here's that same Friday, nowhere near the islands and starts to move west, but it's almost stationary. There's Saturday. There's Sunday. There's Monday. There's Tuesday. There's Wednesday. So it finally crosses the islands on Wednesday, 5 days later than the GFS. So I hate to say it, but there's just no definitive answer. Tomorrow, I think there will be, because by then we will know whether or not the GFS is right and it accelerates northward. I will tell you this, and you guys know this about me. I am a Euro apologist. I think the Euro is by far the best model on Earth, and the Google DeepMind AI model is in agreement with the Euro as well. There's a lot of agreement with those two power hitter models. So my gut tells me the GFS is going to be wrong. It's going to be more west. It's going to be slower, and it will be a major hurricane early next week impacting eastern Cuba or the Dominican. And it's going to be a 3 to 5 day event between Jamaica and there. And I cannot imagine there would be cruise ships going anywhere near there between Jamaica and the Dominican if that hurricane is existing down there. I just can't imagine it. Maybe they go north around it. I don't know if cruise lines do that or not, but they are not going to go anywhere near Grand Cayman, Jamaica, or any of those other islands by this weekend if that storm is doing that. All right? So tomorrow we'll know, and you'll just have to tune in tomorrow. And hopefully, see, the computer has not frozen since it did. So I just have no idea why it did that, but it did. And again, I'll email those guys, and hopefully this will get fixed. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I will update. You know me, all right, essays. I will definitely be updating 24/7. And for us, we have some really nice quiet weather, and we'll see whether that front will give us a cooler Halloween, because it has been a long time since we've had that. You have a great night, and I'll see you in tomorrow's edition of Dennis Phillips Live. See you guys.